Hi everyone, welcome back to another anime recap. This anime is about how a boy gets mad lucky and all the girls in his class want him for themselves. He tries to flee, but one after another girl approaches him in bizarre ways to make him their boyfriend. So keep watching to see if each girl gets their love story or does he get trampled by bosoms. The show kicks off and we meet Jiang Hao Yi, your typical high school student who always shies away from trouble. He's in his usual class routine when fate decides to throw him a curveball. Just as things seem normal, the school's belle, Sha, walks in, sending shockwaves through the class. But the real surprise is when she starts searching for Hao Yi and drops the bombshell she's expecting his baby. The entire class, along with the clueless Hao Yi, is left dumbfounded. Hao Yi becomes the object of envy for every guy in the room and decides to make a quick escape, unable to grasp the situation. Seeking refuge in the restroom, he's cornered by an athletic girl named Tang, who boldly claims him as her boyfriend. Hao Yi attempts another getaway but is stopped by a silver-haired girl named Lin. Now Lin's arrival turns Hao Yi into the school's ultimate heartthrob, and the entire school, including the girls, demands an explanation. Despite Hao Yi's repeated claims that he has no connections with these girls, no one believes him. In a desperate move, he heads to the school rooftop and threatens to jump to prove his innocence. However, his declaration falls on deaf ears and he actually takes the leap. Just as he's about to hit the ground, the magical girl Mai Tada suddenly appears. Mai unravels the whole bizarre situation with Hao Yi, attributing it to a magical chocolate cake he had for breakfast. She explains that this enchanted chocolate has led all these girls to imagine they're in relationships with Hao Yi. The only way to clear up the confusion is to fulfill each girl's deepest desires. Reluctantly, Hao Yi agrees and decides to start by sorting things out with Sha. He returns to the rooftop to find Xia in tears, thinking Hao Yi has perished. Hao Yi comforts her and takes her to the hospital to confirm that she isn't expecting his child. The test confirms she is not pregnant, but she leaves Hao Yi stunned by promising to improve. Hao Yi continues his quest, visiting Xia's home, which turns out to be a palace thanks to her father's wealth. Here, Hao Yi realizes that Xia's real wish is to spend quality time with her overworked father. To make it happen, he stirs up a scene, injuring Xia's father on the phone and prompting his immediate return. Guards beat up Hao Yi, but he eventually helps Xia's father realize that Xia never really wanted all the luxuries. Her only desire was a simple dinner and family time. Hao Yi's words touch Mr. Zitong's heart, and he acknowledges his mistake. Hao Yi succeeds in fulfilling Xia's desire, though he still gets a beating from the guards due to his chaotic behavior. The false memories from the magical chocolate fade, and Xia returns to normal, finally enjoying a dinner with her father. The next day at school, Hao Yi faces even more surprises when Xia approaches him and asks him out on a date. This leaves Hao Yi bewildered since he thought the memories had vanished. Mai reveals that the true memories of the previous day can't be erased, and Xia, remembering everything, has fallen for Hao Yi. Embracing the chaos, Hao Yi's childhood friend Ouyang from America arrives, claiming Hao Yi as her own, causing Xia some concern. Nevertheless, Hao Yi reassures Xia that their date is still on. Later that day, Hao Yi encounters Tang, who slaps him and declares their breakup. Annoyed by her behavior, Hao Yi tells her that no one would want to be around her with that attitude. Tang leaves, seemingly regretful. Hao Yi asks Mei if breaking up with the girls can resolve the whole issue, to which Mei playfully mocks his understanding of women. The next day, Hao Yi gets ready for a date with Xia. They embark on their date and even attend an anime convention. While browsing the cosplayers, they unexpectedly run into Tang, who secretly loves cosplaying but fears ridicule from classmates. Encouraging her to be herself, Hao Yi's words lead to an unexpected revelation: Tang's desire to participate in a tournament that requires a team of 3. Xia offers to help Tang, and the 3 of them dress up Hao Yi as the 3rd member. But their plans take a turn when Tang's favorite costume is destroyed by rivals, leading her to flee in tears, refusing to participate further. Xia goes after her, while Hao Yi takes the stage to keep the show going. Unexpectedly, Hao Yi garners more attention than he bargained for. Seizing the moment, Hao Yi shares with the audience that his friend, despite being an outstanding cosplayer, is nervous about performing. His heartfelt words move Tang, who loses her balance and falls from the railing. Mei uses magic to change their outfits, convincing the audience is all part of the performance. Tang's team wins the challenge, but Xia watches with mixed feelings from the crowd. With a brief break from the chaos, Hao Yi dedicates some time to his studies, determined to become the best in class. A flashback shows how Hao Yi used to always compete with Aoyan when they were kids and how he always scored more than her until middle school. Hao Yi started to score less than Aoyan afterwards so she would not feel bad about herself. Aoyan challenged Hao Yi back in the day, telling him to come along with her to America if she wins the challenge. Hao Yi scored more than Aoyang that day, making her believe that he hated her and didn't want to go to America with her. Back in the present, Hao Yi had challenged Tang to a contest of getting more score in the upcoming midterm exams, with the loser having to fulfill one wish of the winner. The challenge starts and Hao Yi dedicates all his time to studying for it. Hao Yi's focus on his studies made the girls sad since they couldn't spend any more time with him. On the exam day, even after being exhausted from an accident last night, Hao Yi ended up ranking first in the whole school with the help of his teacher and told Tang to wear a cute outfit for a while at school. Tang wore the outfit and Hao Yi had succeeded in helping her to be herself at school. She thanked Hao Yi sometime later, and while she scolded him for getting her dress of the wrong size, she realized that she had developed feelings for him as well. Hao Yi's problems did not end with solving the matters with Xia and Tang, because the next day he gets approached by the third girl named Lin and two children, who are supposedly Hao Yi's. Since the children are real, the situation gets even more problematic and Hao Yi had to play with them. Hao Yi decides that he needs to sort out this matter with Lin's fake memories as soon as possible and decides to go home with Lin since she insisted on it. Hao Yi arrived at Lin's place and was welcomed by Lin's mother in an aggressive manner because she had memories of him not visiting them in days. Lin's mother calms down and invites Hao Yi inside to enjoy a family dinner with his new family. Hao Yi realizes the financial condition of Lin's family from the apartment they were living in. Hao Yi was spending some time with Lin when he received a call from who asked him out on another date this weekend. Hao Yi accepts the date without thinking much, but just ends up making the situation worse for himself after Lin also requests a trip to the amusement park on the same exact date. Being the smart guy that he is, Hao Yi agreed to take both of them together to the same amusement park on the same day, with keeping time management as his only salvation. The weekend arrives and Hao Yi takes Lin and the children to the amusement park first. He takes the children on rides despite not being comfortable in the rides himself. Time passes faster than he expected, and the time of Xia's date arrives. Hao Yi makes an excuse and leaves Lin and the children to rush for his date with Xia. Hao Yi's date with Xia begins after he manages to make it there on time somehow, and the date with Xia had more progress than Hao Yi originally expected. Xia confesses her love to Hao Yi, that leaves him in disbelief, and he runs for the restroom to calm down, where he seems to not understand how the most beautiful girl at school can fall for an average guy like him. He asks Mai about Xia's actions being under the influence of the Cupid's chocolate, but Mai confirms that these are Xia's original feelings towards him. Hao Yi's weekend becomes even more stressful after it turns out that even Tang is at the location and she wants to hang out with him too. Hao Yi remembers about Lin and the children being the priority here and leaves Tang with Xia before returning to his family trip. Hao Yi spends the afternoon with his new family and figures out that Lin has some issues because of her father that she's hiding from him. Hao Yi believes that Lin's deepest desire must be related to her father and decides to dig deeper into her past to find out more about her father. He visits Lin's old homeroom teacher to discuss the matter and comes to know that Lin loved her mother alone after some time for some unknown reason. The separation from her father was the main reason behind Lin's long-lasting sadness. Hao Yi decides to dig deeper into the matter and find out more about Lin's father. He asks his brother for help, who is a police officer, and finds out about 20 possible numbers that can be of Lin's father. Hao Yi calls all the numbers one by one, and just when he is about to lose all hope, the last number turns out to be Lin's real father. The situation seemed to be stuck when an old neighbor approached Hao Yi and explained to Hao Yi how Lin's father was a policeman who died while she was still young, leaving Lin's mother devastated. The businessman offered to support Lin's mother, and everything was going on normal until the adoptive father's family put pressure on him, causing him to leave Lin and her mother behind after breaking the marriage. These news made Hao Yi really sad, and he had no idea of what to do from here on out. Hao Yi recollects his thoughts and decides to give the matter another try and tries to convince the businessman again by leveraging Lin's sadness. Lin's father neglected Hao Yi's request another time, telling him that he has moved on, and Hao Yi proceeded to spend some more time with his family. Hao Yi was playing around with Lin and the children some time later when suddenly there was a twist in their lives. A truck seems to hit Lin in an accident, and Lin's father receives a call from the hospital about it. Lin's father panics and rushes to the hospital instantly and is left devastated when he finds an empty bed in Lin's room. He starts crying after reflecting on his actions that caused Lin and her mother to suffer so much before he realizes that Lin was alive and had seen all this. Lin runs towards her father and hugs her, telling him how much she had missed him. Lin was safe without a scratch since Hao Yi saved her from the accident selflessly and got injured in her place. Hao Yi dreams about the kids from Lin's memories and bids them farewell before he wakes up to Lin by her side in the hospital. Hao Yi finally manages to fulfill the desires of all three of the girls, but later comes to know that those girls were not the only ones being affected by the Cupid's chocolate. Mai Tada decides to go back to her magical worlds since she had completed her tasks of assisting Hao Yi for now. Back at Hao Yi's place, things tend to get a little problematic as all the girls had fallen for Hao Yi in real life despite him fixing their fake memories. The girls beef over Hao Yi as they all wanted him to eat the lunch they made. The girls are left in shock after they end up finding Hao Yi in a weird scenario with his friend, causing massive misunderstandings. Hao Yi clears up the misunderstandings somehow and finishes all the food with the help of some neighbors. In the middle of all the confusion, Mai notices a girl on a rooftop screaming Hao Yi's name and about to jump. Mai hurries over to Hao Yi without attracting the other girl's attention. She tells Hao Yi that her powers have weakened because he hasn't fulfilled all the wishes of the girls affected by the Cupid's chocolates. Suddenly, they both get whisked away to a strange fantasy world while they're in the middle of talking. In this bizarre place, Hao Yi meets Sandy, who seems to live in a world filled with animated objects. Sandy thinks Hao Yi is her childhood love and wants him to stay in this fantasy world with her forever. At Hao Yi's request, Sandy agrees to put off entering this fantasy world. Back at the hospital, Sandy is still unconscious after her rooftop incident, and her soul seems to be wandering in a dreamlike state. Mai tells Hao Yi that if Sandy enters her imaginary fantasy world, she'll die in real life. Mai is determined to save Sandy, even if it means losing her magical powers. Hao Yi is equally committed to helping and is visited by Sandy's soul, which gives him a copy of her song. He joins Sandy in her fantasy world. Hao Yi talks to Sandy about the harsh reality of dying in the real world, but she insists on escaping to her fantasy world because the challenges of real life have become too overwhelming. Sandy is frustrated with her agency, which has treated her like a puppet. Despite Hao Yi's warnings, she enters the fantasy world. Inside the fantasy realm, Sandy realizes that it's not as wonderful as she imagined. Hao Yi follows her and helps her see that she should give real life another chance, even though it comes with both good and bad experiences. He convinces her that her disappointment with the fantasy world is because of her own imagination. He shares stories of how he met and helped the three girls, inspiring Sandy to consider returning to reality. Sandy agrees to come back to the real world, with Hao Yi promising to help her resolve her problems there. When Hao Yi returns, he takes action. He asks Lin to write an article and uses some leverage to pressure Sandy's agency owner into releasing her and renegotiating their terms. Sandy eventually wakes up from her coma. She announces a successful concert before leaving for America and invites Hao Yi to join her in May. However, during her concert, a misunderstanding arises when Sandy thanks Hao Yi, leading some to believe they are dating. This newfound attention makes Hao Yi the object of envy for even more men, adding to his already chaotic life. Hao Yi continues to deal with the challenges in his tumultuous life as he tries to sort out his affairs and help others affected by the fake memories caused by the Cupid's chocolates. Well, that's all for now. Make sure to comment for more recap videos.